Controversy has raged about the age of the Sphinx. Some believe it to be thousands of years older than thought so far. But there's no argument where he looks.
And he looks due east when the sun rises at the equinox. It is obvious that he is a marker of time, but the time that he really tells is the first time, the beginning of time, Zep Tepi, when the Lion King on earth looked at the cosmic lion and the sun in the sky at 11,500 BC.
11,500 BC? But astrologists would call this the age of Leo, when the sun rose in that constellation. And if ancient Egypt believed, as above, so below, the lion on earth would indeed look at the lion in heaven.
When you talk about the stars, it isn't just their journey across the night sky. There is something else to consider. Remember this, the spinning top of his childhood. Imagine that this is the Earth, and that every revolution is one day. But see what happens.
It's ABC to astronomers. Very slowly, the axis of the Earth wobbles, one turn every 26,000 years.
And the effect of this is that the stars appear to move slowly in the 26,000 years cycle we call precession.
Precession makes our sun appear to rise in different constellations over periods of 2,000 years, and stars to slowly go up and down through the epochs. Bauval thinks the Egyptians became aware of it through time.
This is what I think the Egyptians meant when they spoke of the first time and the coming of the phoenix to create the cycle of time. Let's look at this landscape carefully, this place, this region where they tell us was the beginning of time, the time of creation, the Zep Tepi.
Under the pharaohs, the Giza pyramids had their tops covered in gold, as had others nearby. Egyptologists have begun to wonder whether this was to make them connect with other monuments within sight. The father of astronomy, the Greek Eudoxus, describes a large tower where Egypt's priests came to observe the stars at what the ancients called Letopolis, some 20 miles due north of the Great Pyramid. Its diagonal aimed at the great temple of Heliopolis. The three formed a straight triangle visible night and day as sun and moon lit up their golden tops.
Now imagine that you were at Letopolis at that time of 11,500 BC, and you were looking directly south. What would you see? A landscape that is uncannily similar to what you have on the ground. The Nile in alignment with the Milky Way, the three stars of Orion's belt exactly in the same angle and in the same configuration as the pyramids on the ground. And when you go east, here is what you would see. The constellation of Leo, this Horakti in the sky, directly over the temple of Ra Horakti. And a short while later, you would see the sun blazing right above the temple. This cannot be a coincidence.
If, as above, so below holds true, west of the Milky Way should take us west of the Nile.
Now, if this theory is correct, if these three stars represent the three pyramids on the ground, we know that the pyramids are 950 meters apart. Working on the same scale, this distance should be about 9.5 kilometers. We should expect to find some sort of sun temple, probably a sort of sun harbor, where the sun is about to cross the Milky Way and head towards the constellation of Leo, the Horakti, the temple of Horakti in the sky. So let's see what we have on the ground. And as predicted, here we are at the sun temple of Abu Ghorab. And if you follow the alignment of this axis, you will see that it is exactly 9.5 kilometers from the Great Pyramid of Giza. This area here seems to be a sort of pharaonic religious port, with even a ship and a causeway that is directed to Heliopolis in that direction. we have a landscape that is interrelated. Heliopolis, Letopolis, Giza, Abu Ghorab, and seems to be in exactly the image of the first time landscape in the sky.
A mirror of the sky in 11,500 BC? Pretty far-fetched indeed. Does Bauval mean that monuments were built thousands of years earlier than we've thought so far? His theory proposes that at the dawn of history, Egypt felt the need to graft some very distant memory in stone, thousands of years old, and etch it into its mind forever of how it began, the first time. Was there such an event?
Egypt experienced major and dramatic changes at the end of the Ice Age, when very high, exceptionally high floods covered the floodplain.
The time the ice began to melt, when the poles suddenly jerked away to new positions, when something wiped out the animals of North America, when the average temperature in the world shot up as much as 5 degrees. The sudden end of the Ice Age, around 11,000 BC, when sea levels rose, and within decades, the North Sea and the Baltic came into being. And something happened in the heart of Africa. Great lakes had filled up and joined each other. Now torrential rains flooded Central Africa, and a huge new stream cut north. First filled up great swamp basins, then broke out to the valley of the older stream, the smaller Blue Nile coming out of Ethiopia. Where now lies the city of Khartoum, Blue and White Nile joined into the river that was to shape and destine the land of Egypt. For the first time, sometime around 11,000 BC. Was this Zep Tepi the first time? But how would a primitive society preserve the memory, keep count of thousands of years? Impossible. But ancient Egypt and what preceded it did not only count in years, it counted the great wheels of time, the Sothic cycles. At the dawn of history, Pharaoh Zosher laid it down in the first great pyramid complex. And if they knew then, could they have known the previous cycle and the previous? The first time. Bauval finds it commemorated in their myths and monuments and in the stars.